Sit back and enjoy an hour of fascinating facts you didn't know. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Let's get started. According to a study conducted in 2002 by Daphne Suarez from the University of Maryland, an American alligator can orient itself using the waves created by a single drop of water, even in complete darkness. This is because their faces and bodies are covered with small bumps that are much more sensitive than our own fingertips. The largest swimming pool in the world is located at the San Alfonso del Mar Resort in Chile. It was built in 2006, is 115 feet deep, and is filled with 65,750,000,000 gallons of water. This massive pool stretches more than 0.62 miles in length and uses a system that filters and renews water from the nearby ocean, keeping it crystal clear. It also allows activities such as kayaking and sailing in a controlled environment. In ancient China, there was a practice known as foot binding, which involved altering the natural growth of feet from childhood to keep them very small, as this was considered a symbol of beauty and status at that time. Over time, this custom disappeared, and today it is widely rejected, being seen as a harmful practice and remembered as part of cultural and social history. The esophagus of a leatherback sea turtle is lined with papillae, which are sharp spines that allow the turtle to feed on jellyfish. These structures are oriented inward, helping the prey move forward without escaping, even when it is slippery. In addition, they protect the animal from possible stings, making it easier for it to consume jellyfish safely in its marine environment. To date, the Endangered Species Act of 1973 protects more than 1,600 animal species and nearly 1,000 plant species classified as endangered or threatened. Over the years, the list has grown as new at-risk species are identified, but it has also helped recover several populations through conservation programs, making it one of the most influential environmental laws in the world. The highest calorie burger in the world can be found at the Heart Attack Grill in Las Vegas. According to the owner, John Basso, the octuple bypass burger has 20,000 calories. The restaurant ended up making national headlines for literally killing its customers, so appropriately, the waitresses are dressed as nurses. There is a 30-foot replica of a Canadian 5-cent coin from 1951 in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. This massive sculpture, known as the Big Nickel, was built to commemorate the importance of nickel mining in the region, one of the most prominent in the world. Today, it is a local symbol and a tourist attraction that reflects the city's industrial history. Chocolate Avenue is a street in Hershey, Pennsylvania, that runs past the original Hershey chocolate factory. The streetlights are shaped like Hershey's Kisses. This town was designed as a community for the company's workers, with an aesthetic inspired by chocolate. Today, the place has become a tourist destination where the brand's theme is present in many urban details. Pinball machines were banned in New York City until 1976. For decades, they were considered illegal gambling games, as they were thought to depend more on luck than skill. The ban ended when it was publicly demonstrated that pinball required skill, which helped change perception and allowed its legal return to arcades. According to the New England Journal of Medicine, a 30-year-old man from India developed an unusual flower-shaped cataract with 10 petals after suffering a concussion from a bicycle accident. In the 1920s, there were beach police who were dedicated to measuring the length of women's swimsuits to ensure that no one wore one with a questionable length. If a woman was found violating the code, she was required to cover up, sent home, or, in some cases, arrested. Of all the cicadas in the world, only the males can produce their famous sound. Their organs have something called tymbals, and their muscles make them snap inward and outward, creating that well-known sound. This song mainly serves to attract females and can vary depending on the species, forming true choruses at certain times of the year. In some places, their intensity can be so high that it surpasses the noise of traffic. Darwin's bark spider is small and discreet, but it can spin a web 82 feet wide that is capable of spanning an entire river and is stronger than Kevlar. This type of silk stands out for its exceptional strength and elasticity, which has attracted the attention of scientists studying possible applications in advanced materials. Its webs are usually located over bodies of water, where they efficiently capture flying insects. Pollution in China actually alters the weather in the United States. Once it enters the atmosphere over the United States, pollution prevents clouds from producing rain and snow. That is, more pollution equals less precipitation. In addition, The jet stream takes only 5 days to transport heavy air pollution from China to the United States. Wombat feces are cube-shaped. This unusual shape is due to the structure and elasticity of their intestines, which mold the feces into defined edges as they move through the digestive tract. It is believed that this characteristic helps prevent them from rolling away, allowing wombats to mark their territory more effectively on elevated surfaces such as rocks or logs. Fruitarianism is a subset of veganism. It is a diet that consists mainly of fruits and possibly nuts and seeds. In fact, some fruitarians only eat what falls or would naturally fall from a plant. This approach seeks to minimize impact on living beings, although it can be difficult to balance nutritionally if not planned well, as it requires special attention to meet essential needs such as proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Pigs have the ability to be intentionally manipulative. They are intelligent enough to identify a weak point, remember it, and use it to their advantage later. Various studies have shown that they can learn quickly, recognize routines, and adapt to their environment with remarkable efficiency. They are also capable of solving simple problems, remembering food locations, and even interacting socially with other pigs in a strategic way. In some African countries, there are traditional beliefs that attribute special properties to certain uncommon physical characteristics. This has created difficult situations for people with albinism, who, in some cases, face discrimination and risks. Currently, organizations and communities are working to protect their rights, promote respect, and share information that helps eliminate these myths. 3 months after Charlie Chaplin died, his body was stolen by 2 auto mechanics who attempted to extort his family. They were eventually captured, and Chaplin's body was found 11 weeks later. To prevent further attempts, his body was reburied under concrete. Qatar Airways allows you to travel and keep a falcon in the cabin, as long as there are not already 6 falcons on board. This practice is linked to the tradition of falconry in the Middle East, where falcons are highly valued culturally. Airlines that allow this usually require special documentation, such as passports for the birds, and specific conditions to ensure the safety and well-being of both the animal and the passengers. The food coloring known as carmine is extracted from the shells of female cochineal insects, boiled in a solution of ammonia or sodium carbonate, and it is in more things than you might think. In fact, it is used in ice cream, yogurt, candies, and red fruit drinks. The bone that breaks most often is the clavicle. This usually happens due to falls in which the impact lands on the shoulder or an outstretched arm, especially in sports and everyday accidents. Because of its superficial location and its function as a bridge between the arm and the torso, it is more vulnerable to fractures. Even so, most cases recover well with immobilization and time, without the need for surgery. According to recent data and spending trend analysis, the average American household with teenagers may spend several $100s to invite a date to prom. In many cases, the total cost of prom easily exceeds $1,000 when including clothing, transportation, tickets, and other details. The smallest crocodile in the world is the dwarf crocodile. It grows up to 5.6 feet long and weighs only 13.2 pounds. It mainly inhabits forests and swamps of Western and Central Africa, where it leads a more nocturnal and discreet life than other crocodiles. It feeds on fish, insects, and small vertebrates, and usually spends the day hidden in burrows or under vegetation, which makes it difficult to observe in its natural environment. Brad Pitt's first acting job was playing a chicken. Yes, he wore a chicken suit to attract customers to an El Pollo Loco restaurant in Hollywood. Today, the actor has appeared in more than 70 films, has been nominated multiple times, and has won Academy Awards, establishing himself as one of the most recognized and successful figures in the film industry. Viagra was originally developed to treat high blood pressure. The fact that it improves erections was discovered purely by accident. During clinical trials, researchers noticed this unexpected side effect and decided to focus the medication on that use. It was eventually approved in the late 1990s and became one of the most well-known treatments for erectile dysfunction, completely changing its original purpose. According to the National Severe Storms Laboratory, the part of lightning that we can see actually rises from the ground and does not come down from the sky. The process involves 2 discharges, one that descends from the cloud and another that rises from the ground, and it is this latter one that produces the bright flash we perceive. This exchange occurs in fractions of a second and is part of an electrical phenomenon much more complex than it appears at first glance. A yoctosecond is 1/1000th of a billionth of a second, and is comparable to the time it takes light to travel across an atomic nucleus. At such tiny scales, fundamental processes of particle physics are studied, such as the behavior of electrons and photons in extremely brief interactions. These intervals allow scientists to observe phenomena that were previously impossible to measure, opening the door to experiments with ultra-fast lasers capable of capturing events in almost unimaginable timeframes. Ellen Church was the first female flight attendant who began flying in 1930. She implemented a plan that required all flight attendants to be registered nurses, which was a great idea except when World War II began. All the nurses enlisted in the war, so most airlines were forced to remove the requirement in order to find workers. These creatures are diving bell spiders that can use air bubbles to breathe underwater, treating them like mini scuba tanks. They build bell-shaped silk structures that they attach to aquatic plants and fill with air that they carry from the surface, creating a kind of submerged shelter. Inside that bubble, they live, feed, and even reproduce, periodically renewing the air to maintain proper conditions. The Mount Angel Abbey Museum in Oregon houses the largest pig hairball in the world. It is about the size of an American football. This curious object was formed from bristles ingested by the animal that, over time, compacted in its stomach. Today, it is displayed as a medical curiosity and attracts visitors interested in unusual phenomena related to animal biology. The result of a 40-year study published in Developmental Psychology points to a correlation between childhood defiance and success later in life. Researchers observed that children who questioned rules and showed initiative tended to develop greater independence and leadership skills in adulthood. This type of behavior, when properly guided, can foster creativity, decision-making, and self-confidence over time. Ontario, Canada has more than 250,000 lakes and contains approximately 1/5 of all the fresh water in the world. This abundance is largely due to the presence of the Great Lakes and the geography shaped by ancient glaciers. The region is key for water supply, biodiversity, and activities such as fishing and tourism, which depend directly on these vast water resources. According to the National Institutes of Health, 1 out of every 2,000 to 3,000 babies is born with teeth. These are known as natal teeth, and although they may seem unusual, in most cases, they do not represent a serious problem. They are usually small and sometimes loose, so doctors evaluate whether it is necessary to remove them to avoid risks such as aspiration or discomfort during breastfeeding. The original Hollywood sign was erected in 1923 and was conceived as an outdoor advertising campaign for a suburban housing development called Hollywoodland. However, it was restored and shortened to simply Hollywood in 1949. The smell of freshly cut grass is actually the grass trying to save itself from injury. Plants release a series of volatile organic compounds called green leaf volatiles. When plants are injured, these emissions increase dramatically. These compounds can also serve as chemical signals for nearby plants, helping them activate defenses before being damaged, and can even attract insects that act as predators of those causing the damage. In 2008, a man named Ian Usher from Perth, Australia, sold his entire life on eBay for $399,000 after the breakup of his marriage. The sale price included his house, his car, his motorcycle, a 2-week trial at his job, and an introduction to his friends. Ancient Egyptian pharaohs had slaves fan their wine all night to cool it. They also used methods such as storing vessels in underground areas or in contact with cool water to maintain a more pleasant temperature in such a hot climate. Wine was an important beverage in ceremonies and banquets, and its proper preservation and service reflected the status and sophistication of the Egyptian court. A koala sleeps around 20 hours a day. This is because its diet, based almost exclusively on eucalyptus leaves, provides very little energy and is difficult to digest. To compensate, its body reduces activity to a minimum for much of the day, conserving energy. When they are awake, they spend most of their time eating and moving slowly among the trees. Nintendo 64 was not always called Nintendo 64. It began as Project Reality and was later named Nintendo Ultra 64, before it was finally shortened simply to Nintendo 64. On May 19, 2004, a boa constrictor caused a 15-minute nationwide blackout in Honduras when it got stuck between 2 large generation units. The boa was electrocuted, and the resulting short circuit caused the emergency system to shut down the entire plant, cutting electricity to the country. Around 25 to 40% of people suffer from motion sickness. According to the University of Maryland Medical Center, Women are more susceptible than men, and Asian people are more susceptible than others. There are some turtles, such as the Fitzroy River turtle of Australia and the eastern painted turtle of North America, that can breathe through their rear end in addition to their mouths. This process, called cloacal respiration, allows them to absorb oxygen from the water through specialized tissues, which is very useful during long periods underwater, especially in winter when they remain almost motionless. Newborn giraffes measure approximately 6 feet tall, making them taller than most humans. At birth, they fall from a considerable height to the ground, which helps stimulate their breathing and circulation. Within a few hours, they can already stand and walk, a key advantage to avoid predators in the African savanna, where the ability to move quickly can make a difference from the very first day. Chiayi, Taiwan, built a 55.8-foot glass structure shaped like a giant high-heeled shoe. It is used as a wedding hall and tourist attraction. It was built in honor of women who suffered arsenic poisoning from well water that caused gangrene, a condition sometimes known as Blackfoot disease. The most expensive rose ever developed is the Juliet rose. The famous rose breeder David Austin created it over 15 years, and it cost an astonishing £3 million. It was presented in 2026 at the Chelsea Flower Show and quickly attracted attention for its soft color and perfectly symmetrical shape. This variety is considered an outstanding achievement in modern horticulture and a symbol of the level of dedication required to develop new flowers. All the surface water of the Atlantic Ocean is significantly saltier than that of the Pacific Ocean. This difference is due to factors such as greater evaporation and lower precipitation in the Atlantic, as well as the way ocean currents circulate. These variations in salinity influence water density and play an important role in the global circulation of the oceans, which helps regulate the planet's climate. The national animal of Scotland is the unicorn. This symbol has appeared in Scottish heraldry for centuries and represents purity, strength, and freedom, qualities highly valued in the country's culture. In the Royal Coat of Arms of the United Kingdom, the Scottish unicorn appears chained, symbolizing that even such a powerful creature can be controlled, reinforcing its mythical character and historical importance. The United Kingdom-based horticulture company Thompson & Morgan has developed a plant that produces both cherry tomatoes and potatoes. It was developed in Canada, has been called the ketchup and fries plant, and can be purchased at Canadian Costco retailers and even at some independent garden centers. Consuming poppy seeds can cause positive results in drug tests. This is because they may contain natural traces of opium-derived compounds, such as morphine or codeine, although in very small amounts. Depending on the amount consumed and the sensitivity of the test, these compounds may be detected for a short period after ingesting foods that contain them. Omphalophobia is the fear of belly buttons. Those who suffer from it are afraid of having their belly button touched or touching someone else's. Although it is uncommon, it can cause intense discomfort in everyday situations such as physical contact or even seeing belly buttons. In most cases, it is not considered a common clinical phobia, but it may be related to personal experiences or a particular sensitivity toward that part of the body. President John Quincy Adams had a pet alligator. He kept it in a bathtub in the East Room of the White House. According to accounts from the time, the animal was a gift from a foreign visitor and caused surprise among those who visited the presidential residence. Although it may sound strange today, at that time it was not so unusual for important figures to have exotic animals as curiosities or status symbols. Researchers at the University of Bergen in Norway have found a link between being a workaholic and anxiety. They observed more than 16,000 workers across the country and found that nearly 8% of workaholics were more likely to suffer from ADHD, OCD, depression, and anxiety. They also found that people who work more than 55 hours per week had a higher risk of heart attack and stroke. The holes in the tops of pen caps are there to prevent you from choking if you swallow them. This design allows air to pass through in case the cap blocks the throat, reducing the risk of suffocation. Many brands include this feature as a safety measure, especially with children or people who tend to bite or play with pen caps while riding. The Yungas Road in Bolivia has the nickname Death Road because it is estimated that between 200 and 300 people die on it each year. This narrow road crosses mountainous areas with sharp curves, frequent fog, and cliffs without barriers, which made it extremely dangerous for decades. In recent years, the construction of safer alternative routes has significantly reduced traffic and accidents on this road. The longest flight on a hoverboard was 905.8 feet, and was achieved by Alexander Deroux in Quebec, Canada, on August 25, 2014. In May 2016, former President Barack Obama became the first sitting president to visit the Japanese city of Hiroshima since the bombing 71 years earlier. During his visit, he paid tribute to the victims at the Peace Memorial Park and advocated for a world without nuclear weapons. The event carried strong historical symbolism and was seen as an important step in reconciliation between the two countries. Tokyo is home to some of the most well-known hedgehog cafes in the world, such as the famous Hairy Hedgehog Cafe, where visitors can interact with hedgehogs in a controlled environment. These places usually have several specimens of different species and allow customers to hold them under supervision. On May 15, 2016, doctors announced that they had performed the first penis transplant in the United States. The recipient was Thomas Manning, 64 years old, from Massachusetts. The operation lasted 15 hours and used a penis from a deceased donor. Elephants are now being trained for biodetection in South Africa. They are being tested to see if they can use their strong sense of smell to search for poachers, landmines, and explosives. Elephants have 1,948 genes dedicated to smell, while dogs have only 811, and humans have just under 400. Candace Payne, a mother of two from Dallas, went viral worldwide in 2016 after sharing a Facebook Live video in which she appears wearing a Chewbacca mask and laughing contagiously at the sound it made. The clip surpassed 160 million views in a short time and accumulated millions of shares, becoming one of the most popular live videos on the platform. In 2006, Evel Knievel sued Kanye West over his music video for the song Touch the Sky, in which Kanye assumes the persona of Evel Knievel and jumps a canyon on a motorcycle. In 1848, an ice jam upstream of Niagara Falls caused the falls to run completely dry for nearly 48 hours. Some people actually took it as a sign that the world was ending and attended special services in local churches. Normally, it has the highest flow rate of any waterfall in the world and provides 4.4 gigawatts of power to the region. An Oklahoma man named Paul Phillips loves fishing so much that he dug his own pond and then built a house over it. There is a trap door in his living room from which he can fish whenever he wants. 3,500,000,000 years ago, a mega-asteroid that likely measured 30 miles wide impacted Earth in Australia. The impact caused tsunamis and craters larger than many states in the United States. A woman from the United Kingdom named Tess Christian claims that she has not smiled or laughed in 40 years, all in an effort to prevent wrinkles. Rodents are incapable of vomiting. That is something you really needed to know. They cannot vomit due to anatomical limitations. In other words, they are simply not built with the ability to do so. Their digestive system and the structure of their esophagus prevent the vomiting reflex, which also makes them more vulnerable to toxins. For this reason, they tend to be very selective about what they eat and may reject new foods if they perceive any risk. Scientists in Sweden have developed a type of transparent wood that can be used as a material for windows. This innovative material is obtained by removing lignin from the wood and replacing it with a transparent polymer, allowing light to pass through it without losing structural strength. In addition to being visually striking, transparent wood can offer better thermal insulation than traditional glass and greater impact resistance. According to the National Retail Federation, the 4 most commonly shoplifted grocery items are cigarettes, energy drinks, high-end liquor, and baby formula. These products are often targeted due to their high value, compact size, and ease of resale. In the case of baby formula, in addition to its economic value, high demand also plays a role, making it a particularly sensitive item in these situations. In 1972, Curtis King built his son a spaceship house in the woods near Signal Mountain, Tennessee, where they live. It has a retractable ladder, and every detail evokes a futuristic lifestyle. It even cost $250,000 to build. It has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a full bar, and an entertainment area. It was eventually sold and can now be rented for a futuristic vacation. The place most prone to lightning in the world, according to NASA, is Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela. Storms light up the skies nearly 300 nights each year. This phenomenon, known as the Catatumbo lightning, can produce almost continuous flashes for hours, sometimes reaching dozens of lightning strikes per minute. The combination of heat, humidity, and winds from the mountains creates unique conditions that make it the location with the highest electrical activity on the planet. Abu Dhabi has the largest falcon hospital in the world. In fact, it houses more than 6,000 falcons. This center offers specialized veterinary care, from routine checkups to complex surgeries, and reflects the cultural importance of falconry in the region. In addition, the site also functions as an educational attraction, where visitors can closely observe these birds and learn about their care and conservation. Fish have taste buds not only on their tongues, but also on their lips and bodies. Taste buds need moisture to function, and because fish are surrounded by water all the time, taste buds can survive on the outer skin of their sides and fins, as well as inside their mouths. In 2006, a flight from Washington to Dallas was forced to land in Nashville because passengers could smell burned matches. It turned out that a woman with a medical condition was lighting matches to cover her own body odor. In case you did not know, lighting matches on an airplane is extremely illegal. The restaurant Chomp Eatery in Los Angeles offers a rainbow grilled cheese sandwich. Tell me that does not look good. In fact, the blue tastes like lavender, the green like basil, the red like tomato, and the yellow tastes like regular cheese. At birth, kangaroo babies, or joeys, can be as small as a grain of rice or as large as a bee. Either way, that is extremely small. In some recent editions, Anchorage has faced unusually low snow winters, which has forced the organizers of the Iditarod Trail sled dog race to transport artificial or natural snow to cover the ceremonial start of the race. In 2008, Burger King introduced a new product for the holiday season called Flame, a meat-scented cologne for men who love meat. It was marketed as the scent of seduction with a hint of flame-grilled meat. Believe it or not, Nintendo was originally a playing card company founded in the late 1889. It was based in Kyoto, Japan, and produced and marketed a game called Hanafuda. In fact, Nintendo continues to manufacture playing cards in Japan and even organizes its own tournament called the Nintendo Cup. There is a species of orchid that only grows at high altitudes in certain mountainous areas of Ecuador, Colombia, and Peru that looks exactly like a monkey. Commonly known as the monkey orchid, its shape and pattern surprisingly resemble the face of this animal. In addition, it gives off a sweet scent similar to ripe oranges, making it even more peculiar and striking for those who manage to find it in its natural habitat. Happy hour has been illegal in the Republic of Ireland since 2003 under the Intoxicating Liquor Act. Cincinnati surgeon Dr. Henry Heimlich, the man credited with developing the Heimlich maneuver, used it himself for the first time in his life on May 26, 2016. He saved a woman who was choking at a senior center. He was 96 years old. In the Niambo woodland region in Central Africa, scientists have found termite mounds that can last for decades, even after being abandoned. Some of these structures, built by termites, can remain structurally stable for more than 20 years thanks to their complex internal architecture. These mounds are not only resilient, but also serve important ecological functions. They improve soil fertility, store moisture, and provide shelter for other species. According to a study conducted by Nick Wolfinger, a sociologist at the University of Utah, people are more likely to avoid divorce if they get married between 28 and 32 years old. The metal band that connects the eraser to a pencil is called a ferrule. It is also the name of the metal band at the end of a cane. Phobia is the fear of baldness. Ukrainian drivers are converting their cars to run on wood burners to save money on expensive gasoline. According to the Guinness World Records, the smallest dog in terms of length is Brandy, a female Chihuahua from Florida. She measures only 5.98 inches from nose to tail. Some children in southwestern China, between 6 and 15 years old, have to climb a cliff about 2,624 feet high several times a month to get to their school. The school, located in the village of Atulayer, takes about 90 minutes to reach. Taking the bus in the morning does not sound so bad now, does it? Some whale calves are born with hair. Most species that are born with hair tend to lose it during the first days or weeks after birth, especially narwhals. These small hairs, called vibrissae, serve a sensory function and help them perceive their surroundings in the early stages of life. As they grow, whales develop a thick layer of fat that allows them to retain heat in cold waters, making the presence of hair unnecessary. A survey conducted by the University of Oxford found that the average Facebook user has about 155 friends, but is only close enough to about 4 of them to rely on in a crisis. If your name is Isabella, you get free lifetime admission to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. This curious tradition honors the museum's founder and remains as a symbolic gesture for those who share her name. The orange stitching on the back pockets of Levi's jeans is called arcuates. Since the design literally has no function, it was painted during the rationing of World War II. Self-balancing electric scooters, also known as hoverboards, are illegal in New York City. The pacu fish, native to South America, was found in New Jersey in June 2015. It is a relative of the carnivorous piranha and is known for its distinctive teeth, which bear a striking resemblance to human teeth. Fortunately, the pacu will not rip your face off because it feeds mainly on plants and is considered mostly harmless to humans. On August 21, 1986, Lake Nyos, a volcanic lake in Cameroon, Africa, asphyxiated more than 1,746 people. The limnic eruption caused 0.288 cubic miles of carbon dioxide to be released in approximately 20 seconds. This massive wave of gas spread across the countryside, affecting people up to 15.5 miles away. Traffic accidents are the leading cause of death among children between 10 and 19 years old, so please be careful out there. Factors such as phone use while driving, speeding, and not wearing a seatbelt significantly increase the risk. Simple measures such as following traffic signals, wearing a helmet or seatbelt, and staying attentive on the road can make a big difference in preventing these incidents. A Swedish tourism agency created the Swedish number 46-771-793-336, a unique phone line that connects international callers with randomly selected Swedish volunteers to chat about whatever they have in mind. Earth not only rotates on its axis, it also moves around the Sun at a speed of about 66,900 miles per hour. That is very fast. At that speed, it completes an orbit in approximately 1 year, following an elliptical path around the Sun. This movement, along with the tilt of Earth's axis, is what causes the seasons and variations in the length of day and night throughout the year. During the first 3 years, a child's brain triples in weight and establishes about 1 trillion neural connections. At this stage, early stimulation, language, and interaction with the environment directly influence how those connections are organized. Over time, the brain eliminates those that are not frequently used and strengthens the most active ones, a key process for learning, memory, and the development of cognitive skills. It is against the law to interrupt a wedding or a funeral in South Australia. This rule seeks to protect the solemnity of important events, preventing disruptive behavior that may affect attendees. In general, public order laws in the region include penalties for those who disturb ceremonies or formal acts, especially when they involve moments that are sensitive or significant for the community. Kevin Spacey's brother, Randy Fowler, is a Rod Stewart impersonator. Slash did not buy his iconic top hat. He stole it from a store. He simply put it on his head and walked out. In 1984, Jack LaLanne, sometimes referred to as the godfather of fitness, towed 70 rowboats with passengers from the Queensway Bridge to the Queen Mary while he was chained, handcuffed, and fighting against winds and currents. And he did this on his 70th birthday. Wang Ziyu, 36 years old, is a Chinese stylist trained in the art of Kung Fu. He cuts hair while standing on his head. Days after the release of the Marshall Mathers LP2 by Eminem, his childhood home featured on the cover mysteriously burned down and was left in ruins. The fire occurred in 2013 in Detroit and attracted media attention due to the coincidence with the album. Although no conclusive cause was determined, the place already had a history of abandonment and deterioration, which may have influenced the incident. Unify, a manufacturer in Greensboro, North Carolina, recycles plastic bottles to turn them into polyester thread and make t-shirts, shorts, or even graduation gowns. In fact, approximately 400,000 college students will receive their diplomas this year wearing these gowns. There is an island in the Bahamas known as Pig Beach, which is entirely populated by pigs. Visitors can arrange to swim with the pigs. It is believed these animals were brought by sailors years ago or arrived after a shipwreck, although there is no definitive version. Today, they have become a very popular tourist attraction and are accustomed to interacting with people in the water. Scientists at Duke University have developed a device that allows monkeys to control robotic wheelchairs by sending signals with their brains. They hope that one day this will help people with disabilities. 2 students from the University of Washington, Navid Azadi and Thomas Pryor, have created gloves called Sign Aloud that can convert sign language into spoken words through Bluetooth. In 1992, residents of Zernikov, Germany, discovered a 1,020 square foot swastika during an aerial inspection. The swastika was formed by a group of large trees only visible from the air and measured nearly 62 feet on each side. In autumn, the yellowing trees stand out against the surrounding evergreens. No one knows who planted these trees, but it is known that it was created during the height of Hitler in the 1930s. iPhone owners unlock their device an average of about 80 times a day. According to the Guinness World Records, the longest video game marathon playing World of Warcraft lasted 29 hours and 31 minutes. This was achieved by Hecate Arena Kunimi Iglesias, also known as Kunimi Cat, in Vigo, Spain, from March 29th to March 30th, 2014. There's a tunnel more than 31 miles long that connects the United Kingdom with Europe. It is called the Eurotunnel and is located beneath the English Channel. The journey through the channel takes only about 30 minutes, and in fact, a full trip from London to Paris takes only 2 hours and 15 minutes. Only female mosquitoes bite humans and animals. Male mosquitoes feed only on flower nectar. Females need blood to obtain proteins that allow them to develop their eggs, so their behavior is linked to the reproductive cycle. In addition, they use carbon dioxide and body heat to locate their hosts, which explains why they seem to find us so easily. Spiders cannot digest solid food. Before they can eat their prey, they must turn their food into liquid form. They exude digestive enzymes from their stomach onto the body of the victim. Once the enzymes break down the tissues of the prey, they suck up the liquid remains. Budweiser changed its name to America for the summer of 2016. Yes, it literally changed the labels on all bottles and cans with images and phrases related to the United States. The controversial campaign was called America in Your Hands and took place from May 23rd to November 2016. According to NASA, it would take humans approximately 6 months to travel to Mars and another 6 months to return. In addition, astronauts who go would have to stay on the planet for 18 to 20 months before the planets realign for the return trip. In total, the entire journey would last about 2.5 years and could cost up to $43 billion. The Vermont Novelty Toaster Corporation introduced the selfie toaster. All you have to do is send a selfie and they will print it for you on a device that produces toast with your image in just 10 days. During the last decade, our complete obsession with bacon has led to some really strange bacon products. Some examples include bacon ice cream, bacon popsicles, bacon mayonnaise, bacon chocolate bars, and yes, bacon gum. Until the late 1960s, male visitors with long hair at Disneyland were turned away because they did not comply with the unwritten dress code. Netflix has created a Netflix and chill button called the Switch. When you activate it, the switch dims the lights, turns on your phone's Do Not Disturb feature, and gets Netflix ready for streaming. In 1952, Albert Einstein was offered the presidency of Israel. However, he politely declined the offer. Naples, Italy set a world record for producing the longest pizza in the world. It measures approximately 6,083 feet long and took 100 chefs 11 hours to make. It required 4,409 pounds of flour, 3,527 pounds of tomatoes, 4,409 pounds of cheese, and 53 gallons of olive oil just to prepare it. The heart of a blue whale can reach the size of a small car and can weigh almost 1 ton. This organ is so powerful that it can pump large volumes of blood through its enormous body with each beat, which at rest can be surprisingly slow. Its circulatory system is adapted to withstand deep dives, distributing oxygen efficiently while the whale remains underwater for long periods. According to the World Health Organization and recent international estimates, the number of people with diabetes has continued to increase significantly, now exceeding 530 million people worldwide. This sustained growth is related to factors such as rising obesity, sedentary lifestyles, and population aging. Currently, diabetes remains one of the main global health problems, and projections indicate that the figure could continue to rise in the coming years if prevention and control measures are not strengthened. Air Force One is not the name of any particular airplane. It is the name given to any aircraft in which the President of the United States is traveling at that particular moment. Similarly, the Army aircraft in which the President travels is called Army One, and his helicopter is called Marine One. These names function as call signs for air traffic control, ensuring priority and maximum security in any operation involving the President. On May 17, 2016, a woman named Mary Ann Noland published her obituary in the Richmond Times, which stated that, faced with the prospect of voting for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, she literally chose to die. The horned lizard has blood-filled sinuses inside its eye sockets that can shoot jets of blood in self-defense by swelling and rupturing. This mechanism can project blood some distance toward its predators, especially canids, which find it unpleasant due to its taste and smell. In addition, before using this extreme defense, it usually relies on camouflage or inflates its body to appear larger and harder to swallow. On September 10, 1977, was the last time someone was executed by guillotine. The event occurred in France, where this method had been used for centuries as an official form of execution. Shortly after, the death penalty was abolished in 1981, marking the definitive end of this practice in the French judicial system. The first person to go over Niagara Falls and survive was 63-year-old schoolteacher Annie Edson Taylor in 1901. She performed the feat inside a specially designed barrel and managed to emerge with minor injuries, which surprised the public at the time. Her attempt aimed to gain fame and financial stability, but although she gained immediate notoriety, she did not achieve the fortune she expected and ended up living with difficulties. In the mid-2000s, Kim Kardashian used to be Paris Hilton's personal assistant. Uruguayan architect Rafael Viñoly designed a ring-shaped bridge on the southern coast of Uruguay called Laguna Garzón Bridge to encourage people to slow down and enjoy the view. For 5 years, a woman named Oksana Malaya from Ukraine lived with dogs and survived on raw meat and scraps. She walked on all fours, panted with her tongue out, and even whined and barked. After being abandoned by her parents, she was raised by a pack of dogs on a deteriorated farm in the village of Novaya. When she was finally discovered in 1991, she had almost forgotten how to speak. Jellyfish are the most efficient swimmers in the ocean. They consume 48% less oxygen than any other swimming animal. Their method of movement, based on rhythmic pulses of their bell, allows them to take advantage of currents and generate propulsion with minimal energy expenditure. In addition, their gelatinous body reduces resistance in the water, making them especially efficient compared to fish or other marine organisms. According to the World Health Organization, worldwide, up to 5 million people are bitten by snakes each year. However, do not worry, because most of these cases occur in Africa and Southeast Asia. Unless you live in those places, in which case, worry. The original name of the USS Enterprise was USS Yorktown, named in honor of an aircraft carrier from World War II. In 2012, a cat in Boston survived a fall from a 19th floor window and survived. It literally only ended up with a bruise on its chest. Japan has the highest life expectancy in the world at nearly 84 years on average. This is mainly due to the island of Okinawa, known for having some of the longest living people in the world. In fact, there are 34 centenarians per 100,000 people, which is more than triple the rate of mainland Japan. According to the Guinness World Records, the largest crocodile living in captivity measures 18 feet. The Australian saltwater crocodile is the largest and most formidable species today. They can live more than 100 years, grow up to 22.9 feet, and weigh more than 2,204 pounds. There is a Burger King in Finland with an internal sauna. The sauna for 10 people can be rented for $285 for 3 hours and can be used for birthday parties or work events. The first meal on the moon was consumed by American astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin. It consisted of 4 squares of bacon, 3 sugar cookies, peaches, pineapple grapefruit drink, and coffee. These foods were specially processed to be consumed in low-gravity conditions, in sealed containers that prevented crumbs or spills. The experience helped improve food systems in future space missions. Amsterdam has a houseboat that is a sanctuary for rescued cats. In fact, it has become a tourist attraction that receives about 4,500 visitors per year. The game Bingo was originally called Beano because players used beans to cover the numbered squares. It became popular at fairs in the United States in the early 20th century, where people marked numbers with dry grains while the organizer called them out loud. Researchers from the Belgian university Université Libre de Bruxelles found that cockroaches have their own personalities and even show different character traits. They're simple animals, but they can make complex decisions about survival, and the decision of one cockroach can influence that of another. There is an umbrella called Umbrella, that can predict when it is going to rain and send an alert to your smartphone reminding you to take it with you. Not only that, but if you forget it in a restaurant, it can send you a notification via Bluetooth indicating that you left it behind before you get too far away. Research from the Chinese Academy of Medical Sciences shows that people who eat spicy foods 6 to 7 times per week have a 14% lower risk of premature death from all causes compared to people who eat spicy foods less than once a week. Sea otters have pockets in their skin where they store their favorite rocks to break mollusks and clams. These folds, located under their arms, allow them to keep tools while floating on their backs, a position they also use to eat. Some otters even have a preferred stone that they use repeatedly, and this behavior makes them one of the few mammals that regularly use tools in the wild. KFC in Hong Kong offers edible nail polish in 2 different flavors, original and spicy. Panterophobia is the fear of a mother-in-law. The origin of the word pantera is Greek, meaning mother-in-law, and phobia, of course, in Greek means fear. A woman named Vesna Vulovic from Yugoslavia holds the Guinness World Record for the highest fall survived without a parachute. On January 26, 1972, she was working as a flight attendant when she fell more than 32,808 feet over the Czech Republic. Amazingly, the plane she was working on exploded, and she fell inside a section of the tail unit. After being in the hospital for 16 months and coming out of a 27-day coma, she had multiple broken bones, but miraculously survived. Some species of scorpions can live up to 1 year without food or water. This is possible thanks to their extremely slow metabolism, which allows them to conserve energy and survive in harsh environments such as deserts. In addition, they can remain motionless for long periods, further reducing their energy expenditure, and make the most of any opportunity to feed when prey finally appears. Gangster Al Capone started one of the first soup kitchens in Chicago in 1931. This kitchen served thousands of meals a day during the Great Depression, at a time when many people did not have access to basic food. Although his figure is associated with crime, this initiative helped improve his public image among some sectors of the population. The word tsunami means harbor wave in Japanese. The term comes from the words tsu, which means harbor, and nami, which means wave, and it was adopted internationally to describe large waves generated by earthquakes or underwater landslides. In Japan, these phenomena have been recorded for centuries, which led to the development of early warning systems and a culture of disaster preparedness. Scientists at NASA have discovered that, about 4,300,000,000 years ago, Mars may have had enough water to cover its entire surface in a liquid layer about 449 feet deep. This primitive ocean would have contained more water than the Arctic Ocean. However, over time, it lost about 87% of that water to space. Clint Eastwood was the mayor of Carmel, California, from 1986 to 1988. His salary was $200 per month. In some regions of Vietnam, there are unusual culinary traditions that include the consumption of fresh animal parts as a cultural experience. These practices are often linked to beliefs about vitality and energy, although today they are increasingly less common and generate debate. According to United States Department of the Treasury law, it is prohibited for portraits of living people to appear on government currency such as money. This is why you never see living presidents on $1 bills. In addition, the portraits must be of deceased individuals whose place in history is well known to the American public. In March 2012, Israel passed a law called the Photoshop Law, which states that fashion and commercial models must have a body mass index, or BMI, of at least 18.5. For context, a healthy BMI is between 18.5 and 24.9. Hawaii is the only state not geographically located in North America. It is completely surrounded by water and does not have a straight line in its state boundary. This archipelago was formed by volcanic activity in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and is composed of several main islands, each with unique landscapes and ecosystems. Its geographic isolation has led to very particular biodiversity, with numerous species that do not exist anywhere else in the world. A study published in the journal Brain Structure and Function found that, after monitoring mice under the effects of both silence and different types of noise, 2 hours of silence per day promoted cell growth in the part of the spleen that controls memory, emotion, and learning. IKEA in Australia once gave away cribs to couples who could prove that their babies were born on November 14th, exactly 9 months after Valentine's Day. The praying mantis can camouflage itself by changing color. It can range from dark brown to green to blend in with tree bark and leaves. This allows it to hide from predators and also ambush its prey. Steven Spielberg named Bruce the prop shark used in the movie Jaws from 1975 in honor of his lawyer. There is a phobia called kumpunophobia, where those who suffer from it have a paralyzing fear of buttons. The specific fear varies from person to person, but some people feel that buttons are dirty, and others fear the texture of certain buttons. Japan has one of the most impressive Ferris wheels in the world, the Red Horse Osaka Wheel. Opened in 2016, it measures approximately 403.5 feet tall, making it one of the tallest on the planet and the tallest in the country. One of its most striking features is its fully transparent cabins, including the floor, which offers a unique panoramic experience, and for many, quite an intimidating one. Kangaroos have 3 vaginas. 2 of them are on the outside and are for sperm, which lead to 2 uteruses, and the one in the middle is for giving birth. This reproductive system allows for very efficient gestation, as a female can be raising one joey while another continues developing. In addition, the young are born extremely small and complete much of their development inside the pouch, where they remain protected for months. The war between the United Kingdom and Zanzibar lasted only 38 minutes, making it the shortest war in history. It occurred in 1896, when a dispute over succession to the throne led to a rapid British naval bombardment that forced surrender almost immediately. The conflict caused damage to the palace and some ships, and marked the beginning of greater British control over the Sultanate. According to Dr. Scott Pitnick of Bowling Green State University in Ohio, the tiny fruit fly Drosophila bifurca develops enormous testicles that represent almost 11% of its body weight in order to produce giant sperm. They can produce sperm that is more than 20 times the size of their own bodies. That is unsettling. According to the Guinness World Records, the oldest message in a bottle spent 108 years, 4 months, and 18 days at sea. It was thrown into the ocean by the Marine Biological Association in the United Kingdom in November 1906, and reached shore on the island of Amrum in Germany on April 17, 2015. In 2014, the International Space Station had to perform several maneuvers to avoid collisions with potentially dangerous space debris. These maneuvers, known as debris avoidance maneuvers, are relatively common and are part of safety protocols to protect both the station and its astronauts. Danny Lloyd, the actor who played the creepy child in The Shining, stopped acting as he grew older and actually became a teacher, teaching biology in Louisville in 2015. The Shin Yokohama Ramen in the city of Yokohama, Japan, is a museum dedicated to ramen noodles. This space recreates Japanese streets from the mid-20th century and brings together different regional styles of ramen in one place, allowing visitors to try varieties from across the country. In addition to the culinary experience, it also offers exhibits on the history of this dish and its evolution in Japanese culture. Inventor Joey Stein, from Genius Ideas in New York City, has created a device that can communicate with fireflies. With the press of a button, it sends an attraction signal that draws them in and allows users to observe them up close. At the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing, China, visitors could buy skewers of seahorses and fried scorpions. And if that was not strange enough, it is estimated that up to 40,000 restaurants ended up adding menu items with unusual twists like these. Scientists at Tufts University have created worms with the heads and brains of other worm species by manipulating cellular communication. Instead of altering their DNA, the scientists manipulated proteins that control communication between cells. In 1891, Dr. James Naismith from Almonte, Ontario, Canada, invented the game of basketball. He cut the bottom out of a peach basket and hung it 10 feet high, and that is how the game was born. The idea came about as an activity to keep his students active during the winter, and the first rules were much simpler than those used today. Over time, the sport evolved rapidly and became one of the most popular disciplines in the world. The former child rock stars, Hanson, have released a beer called Hops. The band, formed by brothers Isaac, Taylor, and Zach, entered the brewing world as a side project inspired by their interest in craft beer. The drink was introduced at their own festival called Hop Jam, where they combine live music with beer culture, and over time, they expanded their line with different varieties that maintain their creative and distinctive style. The longest yard sale in the world, known as the 127 sale, took place from August 4th to August 7th, 2016, and stretched for more than 621 miles across 4 states. People selling goods lined the roadside along United States Highway 127 and the Lookout Mountain Parkway from Covington, Kentucky to Gadsden, Alabama. The largest snake in the world, a reticulated python measuring 26.2 feet long and approximately 551 pounds, was captured at a construction site in Malaysia, but the snake ended up dying only 3 days after its discovery while laying an egg. Records from the state health department over the past decade show that the drowning rate of visitors in Hawaii is 13 times higher than the national average and 10 times the rate of its own residents. This is partly attributed to the fact that many tourists underestimate ocean currents and changing sea conditions, in addition to not being familiar with local beaches. Factors such as lack of experience in open water and overconfidence also contribute to these incidents. Shakespeare used about 17,677 words in his plays, sonnets, and narrative poems. He invented around 17, or nearly 10% of those words, simply by changing prefixes and suffixes, connecting words, borrowing from a different language, or completely making them up. An underground fire in the coal mines beneath Centralia, Pennsylvania, has been burning since 1962. Surprisingly, no one knows how the fire started. But one theory is that burning trash from a nearby landfill accidentally ignited the coal beneath the old mine entrance. From there, the fire spread wildly through all the mines. In 2008, a 57-year-old Chicago school bus driver and amateur artist, Steve Krusner, legally changed his name to In God We Trust. He did this because it symbolizes the help that God gave him during difficult times. The Japanese spider crab has the largest leg span of any arthropod, reaching more than 11.8 feet in length. It lives in the depths of the ocean around Japan, where it can live for decades and feed on organic remains found on the seafloor. Despite its imposing appearance, it is a relatively calm species that rarely poses a threat to humans. American sprinter Forrest Smithson won a gold medal in the 110-meter hurdles at the 1908 Olympic Games. But what was truly astonishing is that he carried a Bible in his hand. The common rumor is that he did this to protest the decision to run finals on Sundays. However, the truth is that he was so religious that he often ran with a Bible. In 1903, a man named John Thurman started a horse-drawn vacuum system with door-to-door service. It cost $4 per household. On October 2, 1954, Elvis Presley made his first and last appearance at the Grand Ole Opry. Apparently, his performance, full of pelvic movements, was not well received, and one of the venue officials supposedly told him not to quit his day job, which was driving trucks. There is a giraffe sanctuary in Kenya called Giraffe Manor that is also a hotel where guests can interact with giraffes and feed them from their windows. This place is located near Nairobi and is part of a conservation program focused on protecting the Rothschild giraffe, an at-risk subspecies. In addition to the tourist experience, the site contributes to environmental education and funding initiatives to preserve wildlife in the region. Earth Day was founded by United States Senator Gaylord Nelson as a way to promote the environmental movement. The first Earth Day was held on April 22, 1970. It has been celebrated on that day every year since then. David Spade's brother Andy co-founded the design brand Kate Spade in New York with his wife Kate. The company began as a small line of handbags in the 1990s and quickly gained popularity for its colorful and elegant style, becoming a reference point for accessible fashion. Over time, the brand expanded its catalog to clothing, accessories, and home goods, establishing its presence internationally. License plates in the Northwest Territories in Canada are shaped like a polar bear. This distinctive design was introduced as a way to reflect the identity and characteristic wildlife of the region, becoming a highly recognizable symbol. In addition to their unique appearance, these plates still meet the visibility and safety standards required for vehicle circulation. The company Excite turned down the opportunity to buy Google in 1999 for $1 million. But it gets worse, because even when Google lowered the price to $750,000, they still rejected the offer. While editing his biggest film, Titanic, director James Cameron taped a razor blade to the side of the computer with instructions that said, "Use only if the movie sucks." But he did not have to worry much, because the film went on to gross a total of $1,840 million worldwide. Singer Barry Manilow wrote the State Farm jingle, "Like a Good Neighbor." He was paid a flat fee of $500. According to recent data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the leading cause of death in the United States remains heart disease, with more than 700,000 deaths annually in recent years, followed by cancer, which also records figures close to that amount. Braille tattoos exist. They are not like regular tattoos in the sense that they are not made with ink, but rather with metal beads that are placed under the skin to create message designs in Braille. Bedbugs do not have wings and cannot fly or jump. Isn't that reassuring? However, they can live for months without food. They move by crawling and usually hide in cracks, mattresses, or furniture near where people sleep. Their resilience and ability to remain hidden for long periods make infestations difficult to detect and eliminate without proper treatment. The Free Little Library is a non-profit organization that started in 2009 and offers free books in small community libraries around the world. In 2011, a cafe opened in Istanbul called Down Cafe. They only hire staff between 18 and 25 years old with Down syndrome.
If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and share it with your friends. Subscribe so you don't miss more interesting content. Leave your comments and click on any of these videos. See you next time.